Alright, so I'm recording the second session now. Hi again, watching this second session of things. Tools 2, yeah.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Whatever they said. So, I prepared a background for us to look at using the camera tool. Okay, and this is another one as well. Let me just get rid of that signature. This is a layout of a background. Now, the thing about your backgrounds, ooh, I have two Kritas open. Weird. So I'm going to work with this one first, just to show you what it's supposed to look like. By the way, the image that we have here has a particular size. So just calm a little bit down. So you know that normally we work with 1920 by 1080p. That's the 16 by 9 ratio, right? What happens is that when you're planning your scene for camera movement, you have to draw bigger than your actual camera size. Cool. So I have this long shot pan down, and I also have a wide shot hallway. I think I have like two of them. So this is one. So this is an example of one. I like this one more. The other one is this. This is another wide shot, very long shot panning down, right? And then when we actually, so rather than telling you, no, it's actually a waterfall and sky and stuff. So you draw as you imagine it on screen. So let's jump back into this thing. Now, normally when you're creating your project in TvPaint, you have project, right? If you use project by itself, you won't have access to the camera. But if you use project with camera, right, it asks you what's the width and height of your drawing area for now. So here we have width 1920 because 1920 by 1080 is typically the width, 1920. But the height is going to be 7680 because that's the height of the background I've drawn. And we're playing at 24 frames per second, new project. Right, it looks like this, really weird. That's fine. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to import my image, right? So I'm going to open/import, and we're going to look for that image there. We have this long shot one, this other this fantasy looking one, that PNG, right? If we want to use something like this, right? So let's say we have that as our thing, import it, and it pops into this thing. Right, now remember we have a project window, right? Your project window right now, we're not using any camera. So if I actually started inserting the camera, you get this thing. It's going to show you the first frame that your camera is going to be involved in. So example, you want your camera to move or pan down for about 3 seconds. How long is 3 seconds in animation, guys? At 24 frames per second, what's 3 seconds? Which is equal to what? And that is 72 guys, 72. Right, 72. Clock it at 72. First keyframe. So I have the camera tool selected. The green one tells you what your keyframe's gonna be here. I'm gonna just have that thing there. And I can always change the size of my camera. Notice it sticks to the aspect ratio. You can even rotate your camera depending on what you want to do, right? So let's say I wanted to do something like this. I start off like this, and what I want to do is I want my camera to move from point A to point B, right? So I have our camera there. I'm going to go over here to the right side of this thing, and we're going to have this thing here, and it's going to click where I want the next one to be. Right, so maybe I want to do something like this, and it starts off here and it starts twisting like that and kind of shrinking inside there. But maybe in between those, I want my camera to do something else. Right, so it's going to stay straight here. Right, then here it's going to start doing this thing. Right, so that's 2 keyframes of our camera. 1, 2, 3. I think you have a maximum of 3. So end is 72. So let's see what that's going to look like. If we press play right now, you get something like this. Right, so I'm going to continue here. Yes.
Is there, by any chance, you can capture the whole thing with the camera tool?
Like this giant thing as one shot? Well, you see, if everything's going to be shown at once, I'm going to need a bigger camera. Or I'm going to have to zoom out the camera and then you're going to see some weird stuff happening. Yes?
Is that going to be difficult with the background moving?
If the camera movement is different from the background moving? No, actually it's
difficult with the background moving, like there's something in the background
that's animated?
Yeah.
Okay, so it depends on how you time it. So for example, the other one I have is one with a waterfall. Now let's imagine that that waterfall is animated, or that whole scene is animated. Once it's animated, the camera is on a completely different timeline, not different timelines. It's a different layer, so it's only going to just move according to what you want it to do at the time you want it to move. Right, so for example, for us to come here again, and I have this here, and I would rather do that here. Right, so there's this, and that looks weird because there's a slight rotation somewheres, and I don't know why. So let's play that out again. Right, so that's how that plays out at 100. Right, by the way, the camera movement lasts for the whole duration of your clip. Meaning that from point A to point B, it's going to stay right there. So for example, what I mean is, let me show you. I have, for example, this is now going at 100 frames. It's going to move from frame 1 all the way to frame 100. If, however, I want it to settle somewhere, like for example, the last part, I want my camera to settle down, like here, I'll go back to project and I would duplicate this. Right, so I press duplicate afterwards, and for my, well, it's not duplicating, oh no, this frame here, this whole thing, right, I want to duplicate clip, and I have two of the same things. Right, on the second one, maybe what I'll do, and let's just go and click on clip timeline, maybe what I'll do is just, instead of having all these different cameras, delete point and delete point, and just stay with that one. Hold on. So I'll just carry both of them in the same position. And what happens now, if I play this out, it's just this. Right? And I might say, okay, that's cool. Maybe I want to actually zoom in. Right? What happens now, that's playing just the clip. You can play both the clip and you can play the project. If you go over to project and you press play, it's going to play both of them, one after the other one. So if I press play now, I'll go back to the first one, where we had all them fancy movements. Press play, carries you through that, does this, goes all the way down there, and afterwards, bam. Right, so the camera movement works differently depending on the clip. Right, so it's like a thing. The chop right there, the one that turns white. Let's check. There might be something happening inside one of these clips here. So back to clip timeline. So this one starts with bright colors, comes all the way down to frame 100. Let's check what the disparity is. And at 100 frame 100 is actually a blank frame. So I'll have to pull this back to 99. Right, so then it stops there and then plays back over here. So back to this one, let's just check the clip timeline just to make sure everything's good. And then we want this one to be 99 again. First pull this back out like so. And if we go back to project and press play, you're getting this. Well, let's go back from here and press play. I'm sorry. Ugh, this one. And press play. Ugh.
Can do it.
All right, let's try this again. Which one to select? Is this the correct one? I feel like it's wrong still. Let's try again anyway.
Try pressing the
What is going on?
Why did they keep going back to the second?
Oh, let's change this thing. All right, you. We're gonna play from here. Stop doing dumb things.
Why is it high?
Is it hidden?
Easy.
Oh, it's hidden. My bad.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
Yeah.
I think I might have pressed a button or something. All right, let's press play again. There we go. So it does these things and it starts going zooming in and such. And then you could probably add more effects and say, you know, the screen gets a little darker as we go along. So let's do that dark thing where it gets darker as it goes along. You guys remember how we did that the last time? You remember? Do you remember? All right, let's create a new layer. And it's going to start off, well, not blank so much. It's going to start off colored in nothing. And then the next frame, we're going to make it black. Bam, it's, all right, that's it, yes. Let's make it black. And then what we're going to do is we're going to scale this out. You guys remember when we did the scaling out thing? Interpolation. Bingo, that's the word. So what do? We stretch it. And press apply. Loading sequence, so it's doing the whole interpolation, blah, 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 blah. It's stretching the frames. So what's going to happen now is that if I am right, remember the first layer had nothing on there. The layer, as it goes on, is going to start getting darker as we go along. So if we turn on that and turn this on, and go back to project, and press the first one, there we go. Press play, we do that. It goes down. As we reach down here, it starts getting darker. And then bam, ta-da! Thank you very much. So that's a simple transition that fades to black. Of course, what some people would do is that they just animate in TvPaint, and depending on the pipeline that they're following, they might just take it into something like After Effects or Premiere and do all the transitions there. Yeah. So that's why you have different departments. In animation, you have people who deal with the background animation or the design of the background, people who deal with the storyboard, people who deal with this, people who deal with that. What I'd recommend before you even leave UTech, become good at least two things. Like in animation, like if you're gonna be an animator, become a really good animator. As in, don't just wait for assignments, practice on your own, etc. Because if you don't, then you're just gonna fall in the cracks. Be like, oh well, you know, did an animation degree, and what's your portfolio look like? Well, walk cycle from year one, and here's a horse thing, and yeah, right? Or things, you know. Your portfolio is supposed to really be your best to work. So you try to do good stuff, get feedback from people. Don't keep it to yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to get it done. Trust me. Because you might say, you know, this looks good to me, and then somebody like 9 other people say, no, you could work on this area, and you know, because animation is meant to go public, right? Show people your work. So that's how you do that camera movement thing. So that's one other animated thing to consider.